Welcome to Dave Examines Movies and TV, where today I will be examining TV, which really could mean anything. Whether you're channel surfing to kill some time, or if you're looking for an extraordinary project to marathon while you Netflix and chill, I'll be there. Hey, I'm Dave, and I created DaveExaminesMovies.com. I've been reviewing movies for over 10 years, but that's not all I do. I also have a passion for TV, whether that means reviewing them, recapping them, or even podcasting about them. That's why I created Smaller on the Outside, another podcast where I talk about one TV show per podcast season. If you're interested in that type of thing, new episodes will be airing soon covering the current season of Doctor Who. Meanwhile, this podcast covers a wide variety of TV shows currently airing that I watch. And now, we're going to talk about a bunch of TV shows that you may or may not have heard about, but these were TV shows that I grew up with. And we're going to talk about the best of TV shows for kids, whether that means entertainment, whether that means education, a whole range of different types of things. Now, you may have seen them, you might not have, but I have seen all of these. So, this is Dave Examines Movies and TV. Hello. My name is Dave, as I've said before, and we're about to talk about a whole bunch of kids' TV shows. Why? Because it's Kids Week, and every Tuesday we talk about TV shows, so I thought it prudent and obvious to talk about a range of TV shows that I watched as a kid for TV Tuesday. So I wrote down this big old list, and I wanted to talk about how great they are on a scale of 1 to 10, but that just wasn't doing it, because a lot of these shows, they're like apples and oranges, so it's hard to put it that way. So instead, I created 5 different categories for all the TV shows, and here they are in no particular order. There's educational shows that have a deep educational meaning behind it, but can also be enjoyable to watch as well. There's the entertainment all around, which is basically they sometimes have moral to the stories and everything, but that's not why kids watch them. They watch them just for the heck of it. They may be stupid, they may not be, it doesn't matter. Kids are just watching it because it's funny, because it's lots of stuff going on. It's cartoons, whatever, they have their own reason for watching them. There are superhero shows for kids. There are, I guess, which could be seen as entertainment, but for me, when I was watching them, they all kind of had that feel like they were all made by the same people, and you can't watch one without the other type of thing. You have some classics and some lesser knowns. We'll get into each and every category and try to figure out what was the best of that category in just a minute. I just wanted to say also, thanks for joining me. I said last week that I would be pre-recording Monday's episode, which I did. That was Peter Pan. But I wasn't planning to pre-record this episode, which is ultimately what I'm doing. And that's because the job interview that I was going to on Monday didn't go through. They decided to do the interview on a different day, and I guess Tuesday was the day they went after, and so I had to once again record a record a podcast, not live. So sorry for that. I know lots and lots of you are just foaming at the mouth, upset at me, and I understand. I mean, if you could just lower your pitchforks and fire torches and things like that, we can just have a nice, decent, regular episode of a podcast. So, a lot of these TV shows I wrote down from memory, and some of them I also had to look up because I just couldn't remember the title of something or other. I won't say which one's which, but just know that no matter what they are, I have seen them all, and I have rated them accordingly. So I'm trying to think, what would be the least important for kids these days, no matter what, as far as the categories go. And honestly, it'd probably be the lesser knowns first. So I want to talk about the lesser knowns. Some of you may know what I'm talking about and not actually call it lesser known. But I think for this day and age, kids today will have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, and that's why it's called lesser knowns. So the first one that I have written down here is Ghost Rider. Ghost Rider was this show that I just had to keep watching every week, and I couldn't tell you why. I guess this was my first introduction maybe to the paranormal world, other than maybe say Casper or something like that. And Ghost Rider was cool. It was unique, and I had no idea what it was actually talking about. I mean, what it was making a joke out of, being a Ghost Rider for some other author. But Ghost Rider basically had these kids following around I think it was a ghost child who sent them messages and missions and things of the sort through ghost writing. So it was writing on whatever that only the kids could see and interpret, and it helped them solve some kind of thing or whatever. I can't remember if it was educational or not, but I don't really think it was. I think this would have been, in its time, one of the entertainment all-around categories. But now that it's been so far, forgotten, you can't find this anywhere either. It's just, it was everywhere at one point, and then it wasn't. So that is one of my lesser known favorites from the past. Another one is All That, and I'm gonna link these together, All That and The Amanda Show, because they were both on the same network, and they both basically did the same thing. They were both, TV shows that were kind of basing themselves off of Saturday Night Live, but for kids. So they had all of these skits going on with a lot of the same actors playing different parts. Basically what you would see from SNL. And the nice thing about it was, at least when it was on, and probably if it was still on today, people would watch this and say that because of the decline in SNL, that this was better than SNL. It was funnier, it had better material. And I'm not going to say they're right or wrong, but I'm going to say this. Whatever generation that you grew up in is your favorite generation of SNL. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. It doesn't matter. There's no science behind it about what season of SNL is better than the last. But if you grew up in one generation, that generation's SNL is your favorite. Down pat. I grew up in the time of Jimmy Fallon and Will Ferrell and Tina Fey and things like that, and who are all big actors still in movies that are going on right now. So, and naturally, I say this year's Saturday Night Live isn't as good as the one with Will Ferrell and all that, but it's just a generational thing. Now I'm getting off topic because Saturday Night Live is not a kids show, but All That was. And All of That introduced us to Kenan and Kel. Kenan's now SNL, but again, Kenan and Kel and the Good Burger, and Good Burger's like one of my favorite skits / the movie spinoff that they came out with. Definitely. So All That and the Amanda Show, probably lesser known, but out of all of the ones in my lesser knowns, those are probably the most known, if that makes sense. The last one on there is a kind of a reality / game show that kids watch called Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, based off of the video games that came out and based off of All That. Not based off of All That show, but Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I had a blast watching it, partially because of the intro by Rockapella and all that. But also for many, many other reasons. I thought it was a fun show, and it got me into the video games. And the video games, I'd probably say, are better, but still. So, out of the lesser knowns, Ghost Rider, All That, Amanda Show, and Where in the World's Carmen Sandiego, my favorite would probably be Ghost Rider, as far as for the kids go. I think kids today, if they saw Ghost Rider, they would probably like it. But that's if they find the material, find the film, and publish it again, because nowadays it's just terrible quality if you can find anything regarding it. So keep that in mind. Next up, I want to talk about the next category. I'm thinking classics is probably next because the classics is something that kids can enjoy these days, but not very often. You're going to see them if they have nothing else to watch, they might watch the classics. And I've actually sold parents on the classics before. I'll get into that in a second. There's only two that I have here for the classics, and that's the Looney Tunes, obviously, and I said Mickey Mouse and Friends too because the classic Mickey Mouse cartoons, and the classic Donald Duck cartoons and the classic Goofy cartoons and so on and so forth, those are really good. They are for an older kids generation, not so much for the toddlers and stuff now, because that's what Mickey Mouse Clubhouse is for, that's what Mickey and the Roasted Racers is for. But these older cartoons that were done way, way back then were probably the best stuff. Okay, so when I was talking about selling parents on, parents know this. Parents know the classics. That are good for their kids nowadays, especially versus a lot of stuff that's out there nowadays. They prefer the classics. When I sold a cable type of TV programming to people, that's what I sold parents on. When I knew they had kids in the background, I'd always sell them on the, I don't know what channel was anymore. Started with a B. But it had the classics for Looney Tunes, for Mickey Mouse, and they didn't care about anything else I was talking about, what other kind of packages there are, but they liked that, and that's what they bought from me. That's probably one of my best sales, because I'm not really a salesman, but that it is important for parents that kids watch these classics, to not forget about where they came out as a child, but also what innocent, cartoons are like. And by the way, guys, classic cartoons are not as innocent as you remember them being because you watched them as kids and you forgot how innocent they are. And pretty much nowadays cartoons aren't all that different because, Disney and other cartoons, they all tried to fit in some innuendo stuff here and there that only parents would understand and not kids. So rewatch those classics and you'll see what I'm talking about. I saw one on an old Donald Duck episode not too long ago at all, and I was like, what? I won't go into details, but it is there, so every now and then you'll find one. Next up, our remaining three categories are education, entertainment all around, and superhero stuff. I want to talk about superhero stuff, I guess, because the last two are probably the most important, and this is kind of like just fun, but just fun has its own category too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 on here for superhero shows. They don't all relate to each other, but when I think about it in my past, I think about all of these kind of blending into one. And that is the Batman animated series, the Superman animated series, the Spider-Man animated series of the 90s, Static Shock, X-Men Evolution, and Powerpuff Girls. Out of all of those, for the least important for the super stuff is Powerpuff Girls. I never really watched it. I saw a few episodes here and there, never really wanted to watch more. I think that was more for the girls' side. When the girls wanted their own superhero type of the thing, they could watch Powerpuff Girls. But for the guys, I think the boys had more to look forward to when it came to that. Batman is highly regarded as the best superhero animated show of all time, and there is good reason for that. And heck, it's not even a best cartoon of all time. A lot of people say the variation of Batman and his Bruce Wayne counterpart, those two are the best versions of those characters that have ever been on screen. I don't know. It's been forever since I saw it. I saw most of it at least, and it is a good show. I like the cartoon movie maker that they came out with, and that's also why Spider-Man kind of blends in with Batman for me, and with Superman. Spider-Man had a cartoon maker just like Batman did, with all the same things, so it was made by the same people. They all did the same thing basically. So Batman and Spider-Man basically goes hand in hand for me for that main reason. Superman also, because Superman and Batman worked well together in the actual TV shows. They had crossovers and they had movies that came out with just them and things of the nature. So all three of these kind of blend in together for me. Batman for obvious reasons. I'm not a huge Batman fan, though. Superman, however, I was always a big fan of Christopher Reeve's movies. I've always a big fan of Smallville. And this cartoon TV show is probably the next one on my list. Well, maybe Lois and Clark. I don't know. I like Superman when he's innocent and he's an inspiration and full of hope, and he basically makes everybody want to be him. And that to me is Superman. I think Christopher Reeve did an incredible job pulling that off, and I actually think Tom Welling did just as good of a job doing the same thing, just more recently. I don't think anybody else has really done it. Dean Cain has come close, sort of, because it was such a cheesy TV show. But everybody else tried to do this cheesy take. Let's see. Superman Returns. The guy was trying to be Christopher Reeve and just didn't pull it off. Then they tried to go darker with Man of Steel and, Batman vs. Superman, and it just doesn't work for me. It's not Superman to me. Superman is this beacon of light that you dream about, basically, who you read comics about and gives you inspiration. That to me is Superman. And to see people not be that is just awkward and not right for me. Spider-Man is somewhat like the same type of thing. Out of all those characters, I related most to Peter Parker and Spider-Man, so Spider-Man is one of my all-time favorite superheroes. And I love the original trilogy with Tobey Maguire. Believe it or not, a lot of people disregard that nowadays because they have Andrew Garfield, and now that has changed for the Marvel Cinematic Universe with Tom, what's his name? But people start to forget about Tobey, and they make fun of him because Spider-Man 3 was awful, and whatever, I get it. But I did relate to Tobey Maguire just like I related to this Peter Parker in the Spider-Man cartoons. And people have their favorite Spider-Man cartoons because there's been a ton of them since this. But the 90s was always my favorite. I can't really tell you why. I loved it. I did. I'm sorry. I did. The next three, obviously, I already said Powerpuff Girls. These are ones I wouldn't really consider the best of the best of the best, but they are in my memory as such. Static Shock was a TV show about this guy that could use electricity as powers, and the reason why I liked this TV show was, one, it was because it was diverse, right? So we had a black superhero, which was awesome. Not only that, but when I was a kid, I came up with my own superhero. I think I called it Lightning Man or something like that. And Static Shock was basically Lightning Man. He did all the powers that I created in like elementary school about going through electric, power plug things, and that was always great. X-Men Evolution has been my favorite X-Men cartoon specifically. I think the old one, the original, wasn't that terrible, but I connected more with X-Men Evolution because I was a big fan of the movies that came out in the early 2000s. So, and that was basically what they were based off of, and that was pretty cool. So X-Men Evolution was pretty good. But all in all, what's the best out of this? I think, critically speaking, Batman's everyone's favorite. I think, personally speaking, I like Spider-Man. I like Spider-Man and Static Shock, actually. Those two were like my favorite out of the superhero stuff as a kid. So, whatever, I know it's weird. And the next two categories, we're talking about educational stuff and entertainment in general for kids' TV shows. I actually want to start off with educational. This is probably the most important for parents, but not so important for kids. And I think for the most part, this episode is more geared for what kids want to see in TV shows rather than what parents want them to see. So educational is going to be first, and that's why. It only has 3 different TV shows on here that I watched pretty consistently, but were educational. So the first one's Magic School Bus. Everybody knows Magic School Bus. It's even on Netflix. It's pretty popular. I remember it when it was, just like books and things, but when it was the TV show, it was while it was educational, it wasn't at the same time. It wanted to teach you very basic things, but when it came down to it, it tried to be a little bit more entertainment centered, which actually took away the educational aspect. Like the one in outer space when the kid took off his helmet and froze. What happened to him was unlikely. You don't freeze in space. You don't really feel it is, while the temperature is super low, you don't really feel it because there's no air. So what happens is your blood, like, stuff happens to your blood. I'm not going to talk about scientifically what happens when you open your helmet in outer space, but it wasn't that, and they can't just take him back to Earth and treat him with some cold medicine. That's not going to happen, okay? He would be severely damaged. Possibly dead. That was also the scariest image I remember as a kid, was when he took off that helmet. That, like, gave me nightmares. The Magic School Bus is on there because I remember having fun watching it, them shrinking down to look at bugs like they're dinosaurs, look inside the human body, and things of the nature. I thought that was all, like, relevant and cool enough for kids to get interested in things like that, but not to the degree of them actually being accurate. Bill Nye, the science guy. Everybody knows Bill Nye because he's even prominent today when he's talking about more serious scientific things like, global warming, or teaching people about creationists versus evolution and how important it is for people to know about evolution. He even had that discussion with Ken Ham about it. Good stuff there. Bill Nye was actually pretty accurate in what he was talking about, but it was also fun because he was like this just fun teacher who was having a blast playing with toys and showing the science behind them. Bill Nye was definitely a fun show to watch. The last one I want to talk about in educational is Animaniacs. Animaniacs was probably the least educational out of the bunch, but it was educational. They had a lot of education things going on. They almost played host to other different TV shows like Pinky and the Brain and things like that. But intermittently, they might have a song about teaching you the continents of the world and things of the nature, and they did it in a fun fashion for kids to actually learn where all these countries are. The countries of the world, of course. But they also have a ton of other songs that they sing that are educational and are a lot of fun watching too. So these three TV shows are educational and fun at the same time. My favorite out of the bunch, that one's hard. I know a lot of people love Animaniacs. That's probably everybody's number one pick on that. But I might go with Bill Nye the Science Guy. You know why? Because even after all these years, Bill Nye is going to have a TV show on Netflix, and I have, put it on my calendar to watch. Because he was an inspiration when I was a kid, and I still want to see him. I saw him live, for crying out loud. I think on my birthday. Anyways, Bill Nye is my favorite on there. Now, most of the TV shows, I will tell you this, most of the TV shows landed in the entertainment all around, not really all that important, but fun to watch category. Just to quickly go through all of them, I'm then going to talk about each one a little bit. They are Power Rangers, Rugrats, SpongeBob SquarePants, Doug, Dexter's Laboratory, Hey Arnold, Inspector Gadget, Jimmy Neutron, Invader Zim, Fairly Odd Parents, Sonic the Hedgehog, Courage the Cowardly Dog, Cat Dog, and Johnny Bravo. Now, all of these shows, as you can see why most of them are on there, is because they aren't really educational. They're just fun in general. They're just, for me, they were kind of unique, original, and in a lot of ways you could connect with these characters, even though they're ridiculous. So let's start with Power Rangers. Obviously, Power Rangers was a big thing for a lot of people. The TV show's still going on. I mean, they change what kind of Rangers they are here and there, but it's still going on, and they re-released Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and reimagined it for a movie in theaters right now. I still haven't seen it. I plan to see it and review the stinking thing, but I haven't seen it yet. I can't wait to. So, like, Power Rangers is a huge inspiration for a lot of kids for a lot of different reasons. Rugrats is next. You can still hear that theme song in your head. Do 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 do. Rugrats was silly beyond belief. The animation was a little retarded, but it was what it was. It was kind of like when you watch the movie Baby Geniuses, where the kids talk to each other as babies, but it was better. Anybody could connect with it as a kid, and they could laugh at it and say these babies are experiencing life from their own perspective, and see how different that perspective is to our own. So I would say Rugrats is pretty obviously good for a kid's TV show, even nowadays. If it's innocent and it's fun and it's funny, and you can't go wrong with Rugrats. SpongeBob SquarePants. This is probably, out of the entire list, it's one of the, if not the dumbest TV show and most inappropriate TV show out of the bunch. It's almost seen as not a kid's show. But when I was watching it as a kid, I couldn't stop helping myself. And it's still airing. It's been airing for like 18 years. They're still making them. They've made, two movies? Surely not 3. 2. I've seen both those too. But I've seen a lot of these episodes. It's just silly. That's all it is. Silly with ridiculous characters that sound funny and have a good time. And honestly, that's all that happens here. A few episodes here and there are great. Others not so much. But you can't help but realize the show's been going on for a long time. And sorry, but it's hard not to mention this one. Probably not the best on my list or personal choices. But I was pretty loyal to the show. Doug. A lot of people like Doug. I remember Doug, but it's not my favorite. It has gone a little bit too long and a little bit too forgotten for me to really remember and talk to you guys about it. But it was universally accepted as one of the best kids' TV shows. Everybody was talking about it at school. But I don't think anybody nowadays can really talk about anything other than that. They had Doug, you had Patty, you had the Beats, but other than that, I can't really talk in depth about what it is. You have Dexter's Laboratory, or Dexter's Lab for short, on Cartoon Network. That one was just plain fun. Like, you have this, basically crazy doctor, crazy scientist who just wants to basically rule the world and use all of his inventions to help him get to that point. But all of his inventions kind of take him the other way around, and he learns a lesson and this and that and this and that. It's Dexter's Lab. Like, it's the same every episode, but it's fun. Next is Hey Arnold, Hey Football Head. They are getting ready to remake this TV show for a modern audience. I remember, I think I've seen every episode of Hey Arnold, including the movie at the end. Hey Arnold's was one of the shows that you could probably connect with as a probably preteen, maybe a little bit younger than that. The whole idea of him having a football head is obviously a self-loathing type of thing, but everybody loves him for it. So, like, everybody has their own issues in the TV show. That could be seen as important, but like, Arnold and his like missing parents and things like that. So, Hey Arnold was a pretty decent show in general. Inspector Gadget, came out with the movies Inspector Gadget and Inspector Gadget 2. But the TV show was, of course, classic. And I'm not even talking about the one like out now that's all like CG and boring. I'm talking about the original Inspector Gadget. That one that sprung the movies and things. That one was my favorite when I was a kid. Just I loved the idea of how many different things he had in his possession. I could not get over that, but also the movies did the same thing. Jimmy Neutron's next. Jimmy Neutron was basically a boy genius that could create anything, and it's kind of like Dexter's Lab in that fact, except Jimmy Neutron was more smart and more nice and everything, but it's generally the same consensus. It's just different kind of animation, more like CG. But it was a good show that you could connect with again. Invader Zim is critically a lot of people's favorites. Everybody likes Invader Zim, and Invader Zim's also another TV show that's coming back. Invader Zim was ridiculous. I mean that in a good way. I mean, they said all of these ridiculous lines all the time, and and then Gurr, of course, was the cutest evil space buddy available, and it just made a perfect double there. Next up, Fairly Odd Parents. They're still making this as well, and weirdly enough, they have live action movies based off of it. I don't know too much. I didn't actually watch this one as much as the others. Now, Fairly Odd Parents, I did like as it began. I liked the Fairly Godmother and Godfather, who used the magic to basically do anything that little Timmy wanted. And that's like a little boy's dream when you're watching too, is just to have any wish that you want, as long as you want it, because those fairies aren't going anywhere. And then this whole entire world with the fairies was cool too. But it does get a little convoluted there, so I think I stopped watching it a little after that. Sonic the Hedgehog was more in the 90s. They had two different TV shows, like the same title. One was serious, one was more lighthearted, Saturday morning cartoonish stuff. I liked them both. The movie that came off of it was more like an anime, so that makes me think that the TV show was more anime too. But the Saturday morning cartoon one was the one where he was always asking for corn dogs and things of the nature. I call that nostalgia because I played all the games, and I liked seeing a cartoon version of them. My other favorite of Sonic would probably be Sonic X, and that's because they actually introduced the stories to both Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 into that show, which was pretty unique as well. So, Sonic the Hedgehog. Next up, Courage the Cowardly Dog. Stupid dog. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's good. It's kind of like, I don't want to say Scooby-Doo, which I don't have on this list, by the way. I don't want to say Scooby-Doo, but it's Courage the Cowardly Dog because most of the time he is cowardly, but he needs courage to do certain things, like save his friends and save his family, who never appreciate him anyways. He's just a dumb dog. It's hard to say. It's been forever since I've seen the show, but I know that I loved it. It's one of those that I liked. Cat Dog is much up there with Doug. I appreciated it. It's got this cat head on one side, dog head on the other side. I was always laughing and asking how one poops. But whatever. Cat Dog was as absurd as the title and the animal itself. It was just kind of all over the place, and it had a lot of uniqueness, a lot of creativity for kids, which I think inspired them to have creativity of their own as well. So Cat Dogs is good. It's just, it wasn't really my thing. Now, the last one on there, I put Johnny Bravo. I actually have the first season bought. Actually, it was given to me as a gift for Christmas. Or my birthday. I can't remember which one it was. Johnny Bravo is probably my personal favorite in this list because it's just hilarious. There is innuendo stuff for pretty much all ages to appreciate. I want it. There's all these cartoons that are coming back because of nostalgia reasons. I want Johnny Bravo to come back. I really, really do. I would love it if they came back because he didn't stay on air very long. He's got like four seasons, 5 at most. I don't remember exactly. There's not a lot. Cartoons nowadays go on for a long, long time. Like, look at what I was saying with Invader Zim's coming back. Fairly Odd Parents has been on the whole time. SpongeBob has been on the whole time. And it just seems like an insult or some kind of crime against humanity to have these great shows come back and not have Johnny Bravo, because Johnny Bravo was hilarious. I'm not much of a laugher. I will tell you that much. I don't really laugh all that much with TV shows. But Johnny Bravo never had an issue with it, and I always laughed. So that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Now, one thing I did forget to talk about in this podcast was the best episodes of last week, and that goes through what days here? Last week was the 2nd through the 8th, it looks like, and I want to talk about the 3 best episodes of the week, which I don't know entirely because I didn't really rate anything. Let's see. I saw Making History, which was okay. Walking Dead was probably the best. I'm not sure. That was the finale, I think. The finale of The Walking Dead was one of the best, because that was the season finale, and it was pretty epic. Next, we're going to talk about... No, let's keep on going. See, I didn't make this list beforehand, so I'm stupid. Let's see, 24. Bates Motel might be on there. Prison Break. Holy crap. Yeah, Prison Break's on there for sure. I would say probably Imposters, Prison Break, and Walking Dead, but let me go through and check again one real quick. Yeah. So I would definitely say that. So Walking Dead was a finale. There was a premiere for Prison Break, and of course Imposters is always freaking good, and they are that was the penultimate for Imposters, so I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be the finale like tonight when I'm recording this. So, or actually tomorrow, I guess. So yeah, the best 3, I think, in order. The number 1, I would definitely say Prison Break. Its return was crazy awesome. Then I would say probably Walking Dead for their finale there. And Bates Motel would be number 3. Bates Motel took a huge twist because the last time we saw what was going on in Bates Motel, it was kind of crazy. They took a change because the last one, like I said, was the movie. It was the movie gearing up for this episode, and this episode, everything went awry, like a way you wouldn't believe. It almost seems like an insult in a way, the direction they went, but it is creative freedom, it is creative liberties, and I can't really argue with that. I just hope that the direction they go for the rest of this season, because it is the final season of Bates Motel, I just hope that the final of it is good, and I can be happy with it. And I think they need to leave it open for Bates to be a possible movie villain, because that's what he was in Psycho. Or they could end it like Psycho and have him be in the mental institution or something like that. I don't know. I have no idea how they're going to end this show. but I think they're going to go all out, and I hope we see what's going on soon. Anyways, next week, tomorrow I'll be reviewing the Kids Week movie number 2, which is going to be 101 Dalmatians. That's the live action version. And then actually next week I already have a plan for the movies that I'm going to be reviewing, which I will tell you on this Friday. But the theme of next week, and there's not always going to be a theme, mind you, but the theme of next week is going to be Wife's Choice. My wife picked out some movies for me to watch and review. I'm going to get her rating on them as well. And we're really going to be talking about how we are similar and different as a couple when we talk about that. She may or may not show up for some of the podcast, so look out for that. Anyways, you can contact me at dave@daveexamensmovies.com. You can ask for some reviews. You can comment on what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong. You can comment on this podcast alone if you want. I am on Twitter, IAMDWG. I am on Track TV, IAMDWG. My website is daveexamensmovies.com, and you can find me on Facebook as well. So, all that is good stuff. So make sure you follow me, you subscribe, you comment, you give it a like, and I'll see you tomorrow when we talk about 101 Dalmatians. Hopefully, I can record it live. Oh. So peace out, guys.